Have you ever wondered why your mind builds entire worlds the moment you fall asleep? Strange, symbolic, sometimes terrifying, other times beautiful. Dreams arrive like unexpected guests, often uninvited, but always carrying a message. They make no sense on the surface. You dream of flying, of being chased, of old lovers returning, of doors that lead to nowhere. But what if every one of those symbols was your nervous system speaking in code? What if your body dreams not to entertain you, but to heal you? You've been told dreams are just static from a tired brain, but maybe they are your second life. Maybe your mind turns the lights off, not to rest, but to remember, to process what your waking self can't bear to feel, to rehearse, release, and rewire. Tonight, we're going to slow down and listen, because your dreams are not random. They are the stories your biology tells itself when no one is watching. If you've ever woken up from a dream and felt like it meant something, this video is for you. Like, share, or subscribe, not out of habit, but because these are the questions we all carry quietly. Drop a comment before we begin. What's one dream you've never forgotten? Now breathe out. This will be slow. This will be healing. This will finally make sense. Let's learn why we dream. Chapter 1. The Night Theater. What dreams really are. There's a moment at night, so brief, you hardly notice it. You lie still. The room is quiet. The outside world grows dimmer, then disappears. And then something extraordinary happens. Your brain opens a stage, not the kind of stage you see in a theater downtown. No. This one is private, internal, silent, no audience, no curtains, no lights, just a raw, boundless space, where your mind becomes both playwright and actor. Every night, whether you remember or not, your body invites you to this strange production. It happens deep in REM sleep, a phase so active, so vibrant. Neuroscientists once called it paradoxical sleep, because the body rests, but the brain, it burns like a city at midnight, electric, alive, unfiltered. But why? Why would your brain, so exhausted from the day, work this hard through the night? The truth is, dreams are not nonsense. They are not random, and they are not just stories. They are survival, once upon a time. Long before cities and phones and morning alarms, the first humans fell asleep under the stars, and their brains, just like yours, began to dream. They dreamed of running from wild animals, of losing loved ones, of discovering new paths. These weren't just vivid hallucinations. They were simulations, rehearsals, safety drills powered by a deep evolutionary intelligence. You see, dreaming is not just rest. It is a function of emotional survival. The thalamus, the brain's sensory gatekeeper, shuts its doors when you enter REM sleep. The outside world fades. But deep inside, your limbic system, the emotional brain, lights up. The amygdala, responsible for fear and memory, becomes a central character. The hippocampus, your internal archivist, combs through the day's emotional footage. And the prefrontal cortex, your logical, controlling voice, steps back. You dream not with reason, but with feeling. This is why dreams are often surreal, intense, strange, or emotional. They aren't built to make sense. They're built to help you feel your way through what you didn't fully process while awake. Think about this. When you're stressed, your dreams become chaotic. When you're grieving, your dreams are filled with old memories. When you're falling in love, Your dreams dance between desire and fear. It's almost like your sleeping mind says, "Give it to me. Let me carry this." And so, while your body lies still, your mind continues the work your conscious self didn't finish. You rehearse difficult conversations. You revisit unresolved moments. You simulate danger, loss, connection, longing. It's not fiction. It's therapy. Silent, mysterious, biological therapy. In a lab in Switzerland, researchers observed something fascinating. They showed people disturbing images while they were awake. Car accidents, storms, illness. Then they watched what their brains did during REM sleep. The result? The same brain regions that had been activated during the emotional experience lit up again in dreams. But with softened intensity, it was as if the brain was re-watching the pain. But now, with a gentler filter, almost like the dream itself was saying, "Let's try that again, but safer this time." This is why researchers like Rosalind Cartwright and Matthew Walker argue that dreaming is overnight therapy. You don't just sleep to recharge your body. You sleep to process your life. Still, not every dream is deep or meaningful. Sometimes they're absurd, flying through grocery stores, losing your teeth, talking to a fox in a suit. And that's okay, because even when dreams don't make sense to you, they serve a purpose to your brain. Dreams use metaphors, and metaphor is the native language of your subconscious. You might dream of being chased, but your brain is replaying anxiety. You might dream of falling, but your nervous system is recalibrating. Trust. You might dream of old friends, not because of nostalgia, but because a feeling in you has returned. What seems strange on the surface is often a reflection of something real, a memory, a need, a fear, a desire. Your dreams are poetry written by biology. But why the theater? Why do we dream in scenes, characters, emotionally charged narratives? The answer lies in the oldest part of your brain. Story is how the brain remembers. Emotion is how the brain prioritizes. Your mind takes fragments of the day, a conversation, a smell, a passing glance, and weaves them into a symbolic rehearsal. This is why even people with amnesia still dream. Your mind doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need a plot. It needs only one thing: meaning. And when meaning is hard to find while you're awake, your dreams search for it in the dark. Now, let's pause. You might be wondering, if dreams are so important, why don't I remember them? That's a beautiful question, and the answer is, you're not meant to remember all of them. The act of dreaming is what matters, not the recall, in fact. The brain actively works to forget dreams by decreasing norepinephrine levels during REM sleep. It's like writing in sand. Necessary, but not permanent. Dreaming is about emotional digestion. Remembering is optional. But sometimes, a dream lingers. It clings to the morning. A face, a phrase, a feeling. And when that happens, pay attention. Your mind is asking you to look closer, because something inside you wants to be seen. There's another reason we dream, and this one is beautifully human. It's creativity. Some of humanity's greatest breakthroughs, scientific, musical, poetic, arrived in dreams. The structure of benzene, the melody of yesterday, the sewing machine needle, all found in sleep. Why? Because in dreams, the rules dissolve. The rigid logic of the waking brain relaxes. New ideas connect. Distant memories merge. And the brain, free from distraction and inhibition, becomes an alchemist. That's why dreams feel so magical. Your inner world is free to imagine, and sometimes what it creates is worth writing down. So tonight, when your eyes grow heavy, when your body sinks into that quiet space just before sleep, remember this: your brain is preparing the stage. The backdrop will shift. The characters may surprise you. The plot may not make sense, but it is yours. All of it. The dream is not random. It is response. It is release. It is rehearsal. It is renewal. And while the world outside grows quieter, your mind does the beautiful, invisible work of being alive. In the next chapter, we'll enter the strange forest of symbolism. Why do you dream of falling, of flying, of doors and drowning, of birth and betrayal? Why does the mind speak in such strange shapes? And how can you learn to hear what your dreams are really saying? Close your eyes. Let the theater begin. Chapter 2: Symbols in the Smoke. How your body speaks through dreams. There's something strange about the way dreams speak to us. They never say exactly what they mean. They show us images, not instructions. Sensations, not solutions. A hallway with no end. A forgotten room. A voice you haven't heard in years. You wake up and wonder, what did that mean? But the truth is, your dreams aren't trying to confuse you. They're trying to protect you. Because when the conscious mind is asleep, your body can finally speak, not in language, but in symbols. And symbols are how your nervous system whispers. Your body doesn't use words the way your mind does. It speaks in tension, in heat, in images, in metaphor. This is why when you're anxious, your chest tightens. When you feel powerless, you dream of losing your voice. When you're overwhelmed, you might find yourself underwater in sleep or in life. We often think dreams are nonsense because they don't follow logic. But that's because logic isn't the native language of the body. Emotion is dot. And when emotion gets trapped, unspoken, unprocessed, unacknowledged, the body finds another route. It paints it in dream. Think of it like smoke. The shape is always changing, but the fire underneath is real. Imagine this. A woman has recurring dreams about her childhood home. It's not dramatic, just her walking through the old rooms. But in the dream, she can never turn on the lights. Every switch fails. Every bulb flickers. The house remains dim. Now, logically, that means nothing. But emotionally, it might be everything. That house could represent the self, the past, the parts of her that feel locked in shadow, and the lights, her ability to see clearly, to bring something buried into consciousness. Her body might be saying, there's something here, something you lived through, and you haven't yet let yourself see it. The dream doesn't come with instructions. It comes with atmosphere, and the rest is up to us. Symbolism is the language of both dreams and trauma, because trauma is not stored as a clean memory. It's stored as fragments, body sensations, flashes of imagery, emotions with no name, and dreams often gather those fragments, like broken pieces of glass, and hold them up to the moonlight. It doesn't always make sense, but it's honest. That's why you might dream of falling when you feel insecure. Why you might dream of a storm when your emotions are flooding. Why you might dream of someone chasing you when you're really running from yourself. The brain doesn't lie when it dreams. It just speaks in metaphor. Studies by Harvard psychiatrist Alan Hobson found that dreams often incorporate emotional memory more than factual detail. That's why you might see as strangers, face on someone you know, or blend places and times into a single, surreal scene, your mind is less concerned with accuracy than it is with resonance. It's not trying to tell you what happened, it's trying to show you what hurts. This is why dreams can feel familiar and foreign at once, like déjà vu wrapped in fog. Let's look at a few common symbols, not to decode them like fortune cookies, but to feel into what they might mean emotionally, psychologically, even biologically. Falling. Dreams often appear when you feel out of control. Your nervous system, especially during REM sleep, experiences a sensation of sleep paralysis, which can be misinterpreted as falling. Emotionally, falling reflects instability, a drop in status, a loss of ground. But perhaps falling is not a warning. Maybe it's your body saying, let go, being chased, often connected to unresolved stress or avoidance. When we suppress fear during the day, the mind may replay it in symbolic form. It's not always about an external threat. Sometimes you're running from something inside, a decision, a truth, a feeling. Ask yourself, what have I been avoiding? Losing teeth. This strange but common dream often relates to vulnerability, aging, or the fear of saying the wrong thing. Teeth are tools for expression and strength. Losing them can signal a loss of power or identity, or a transition in how you see yourself. Your dream may be asking, where do you feel like you're falling apart? And where might that not be a bad thing? But we must be careful here. Dreams are not puzzles to solve. They are not dictionaries to consult. They are invitations, and every symbol, every setting is specific to you. You might dream of water and feel peace. Someone else might dream of water and feel terror. One dreamer finds comfort in a stranger's hug. Another feels a threat. Dreams don't come from some universal code Ebo-OK. They come from your inner world, and only you can know what they really mean. There's something beautiful that happens when we stop treating dreams like riddles and start treating them like emotional weather reports. You begin to notice patterns, cycles, recurrences. You see how your dreams shift with your mood, your stress, your sleep quality, your relationships. A dream isn't something that happens to you. It's something your body creates for you, and sometimes it's trying to restore balance. There's a theory in neuroscience called threat simulation theory, proposed by Auntie Revens. It suggests that dreams evolved to help us rehearse survival situations in ancestral environments. This made perfect sense. The dream where you flee a lion might sharpen your instincts in real life. But now, the threats are emotional. A boss, a breakup, a belief that no longer fits. Your dreams still simulate escape, safety, choice. Not because you're in danger, but because your body is trying to make you ready, not just for survival, but for healing. There's also the gentler side of symbolism, the side we often forget to trust. Not all dreams are warnings. Some are gifts. You dream of flying, of walking through forests, of swimming in moonlight, of loved ones long gone, holding you again. These dreams might not have meaning in the traditional sense, but they have presence. They are a form of nourishment, an emotional vitamin, a nightlight for your inner child. Some researchers believe dreams help with emotional integration, not just purging stress, but reinforcing peace. This is why people in healthy relationships often dream of connection. or why those in grief dream of gentle visits. The brain isn't just reacting, it's remembering how to feel safe again. So, how do you begin to understand the symbols your dreams offer? You don't analyze, you listen. When you wake, instead of asking, "What did it mean?" ask, "What did I feel? What moment in my waking life feels like this dream? What is my body asking me to feel more deeply?" Because that's all a symbol is, a vessel for something true. Here's a practice. Keep a dream. Journal beside your bed. When you wake, write the dream. Not perfectly, not completely. Just what you remember. Write the feelings, the images, even fragments. Then ask yourself, where am I holding this energy in my life? What does this remind me of? What might this dream be trying to give me or release from me? This isn't just self-reflection, it's neurological cooperation. It's how you begin to align your waking and dreaming self. And one last thing, don't be afraid of nightmares. Nightmares are not punishments. They're not signs that you're broken. They are urgent messages from a nervous system under stress. They often reflect past trauma or present overwhelm. And they come not to hurt you, but to wake up the part of you that needs care. Nightmares are loud dreams, not bad ones. The more you approach them with gentleness, the more you allow healing to unfold. So tonight, when you close your eyes, and the symbols start to arrive, the rain, the tunnels, the endless staircases, don't panic, don't overthink, just feel, because your body is speaking, not in language, but in smoke, in shape, in dream. And if you breathe slowly, if you listen carefully, you might just understand what it's been trying to say all along. In the next chapter, we'll explore something deeper, not just how you dream, but why you dream, what you do. We'll dive into the science of emotional memory, trauma healing, and how dreams act as an internal therapist, because behind every dream is a need, and learning to understand that need might just change how you sleep and how you live. Chapter 3: Emotional First Aid. Why you dream what you do. You may not remember the dream, but your body does dot a tightness in your chest when you wake, a feeling of relief you can't explain, a face that stays in your mind all morning, even though you haven't seen them in years. Dreams don't always leave clear footprints, but they leave fingerprints. And beneath those fingerprints is something ancient, your emotional repair system. Because what if the dream wasn't just a message? What if it was a bandage? Sleep is not just for rest. Sleep is a clinic, a slow, invisible clinic where your emotional injuries are stitched back together in the dark. When you've had a hard day, when you've held in too much, when you feel things you can't say out loud, your dreams become triaged. This is not a metaphor, it's biology in REM sleep. The stage where most vivid dreaming occurs, your brain becomes emotionally active, but the neurochemistry changes. Stress hormones like norepinephrine drop. Your body enters a safe rehearsal mode, where painful experiences can be reprocessed without the full weight of fear. In other words, you relive things without relapsing into them. You touch the wound without reopening it. This is why your brain doesn't dream randomly. It prioritizes what hurts. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist and author of Why We Sleep, describes REM sleep as overnight therapy, a natural mechanism for emotional homeostasis. Think of your brain like a library. Every night, it decides what to keep, what to refile, what to heal. Dreams are part of that reshelving process. You don't just file memories. You edit them. You soften the edges of the sharp ones. You highlight the ones you need to grow. You discard the ones you no longer need to carry. This is why we say, dreams are healing, because they are the nightly reorganization of your emotional self. Let's say you had an argument with someone you love. You go to bed exhausted, tense, unresolved. And in your dream, you find yourself in an old classroom, trying to explain yourself, but no one is listening. That might sound unrelated, but emotionally, it's not. The dream is staging a symbolic rehearsal. The helplessness, the tension, the longing to be understood, they're all present. But now, your mind is processing them from a safe distance. This is how we begin to regulate what we couldn't handle during the day. Dreams don't change the facts, but they change your relationship to them. Another example, someone grieving the loss of a parent dreams not of the funeral, but of being lost in a forest, or sitting silently in a train station, watching people leave. These aren't just sad images, they're emotional metaphors. The brain is exploring the feeling of loss, abandonment, transition, not by replaying trauma, but by rehearsing acceptance. You dream what you do, because your emotional brain is prioritizing what needs care. The more intense the emotion, the more likely it is to appear in your dreams, especially if you didn't allow yourself to feel it while awake. This is where trauma and dreaming intersect. Trauma disrupts memory processing. It creates frozen moments in the nervous system, moments your waking self avoids. But your sleeping brain can't ignore them. And so it dreams, often vividly, sometimes painfully. Nightmares, flashbacks, intrusive dreams. These are the brain's desperate attempts to resolve what the conscious mind has buried. But again, the goal isn't to torment. It's to restore when given safe, quality REM sleep, and a supportive emotional environment. Even trauma dreams begin to soften. The storm might still come, but it no longer drowns you. A study from UC Berkeley found that people who got healthy REM sleep after watching emotionally disturbing videos reported less emotional distress the next day, compared to those who stayed awake. Sleep didn't erase the memory. It erased the sting. Dreams, then, are not distractions. They are emotional anesthetics. They allow the brain to replay without to feel, but from the safety of distance. To remember, but with softer edges. That's what healing looks like. But this only happens when the sleep is deep, safe, and uninterrupted. In modern life, that's rare. Our REM cycles are often shortened by stress, screens, caffeine, alcohol, or irregular routines. And when REM suffers, so does emotional regulation. This is why people with insomnia or poor sleep often report heightened anxiety, irritability, and emotional reactivity. Without dreams, it's harder to heal. You wake up with emotional leftovers you didn't digest. And over time, that emotional buildup becomes exhaustion, numbness, or outbursts. You weren't too sensitive. You were under-repaired. But here's the beauty. The body is always trying to repair, even when dreams are painful, even when they make no sense, even when you forget them by morning. Something deep is at work, a part of you that still believes in healing, even when your conscious mind has stopped trying. That's what dreams are. They are the emotional self, refusing to give up on you. There's also something called dream rescripting. Used in trauma therapy, it involves visualizing a nightmare, but consciously changing the ending. For instance, if you always dream of being chased, you imagine stopping and turning to face your pursuer. If you dream of drowning, you imagine yourself floating instead. Over time, this changes the dream and the emotion attached to it. Why? Because your brain believes what it rehearses. Even in imagination, you don't just heal by remembering, you heal by re-authoring, and dreams are your subconscious author's first draft. So, what do your recent dreams say about your emotional state? Not symbolically, not analytically, but energetically. Have they been chaotic, peaceful, repetitive, forgotten, strange? Each one is a reflection of your nervous system. The dreams you dream are the stories your body thinks you need, not always to understand, but to feel. Here's a gentle reflection tonight. Before bed, ask yourself, what am I carrying into my dreams? A memory, a worry, a hope. And instead of pushing it away, breathe with it. Let it know, I see you. You can be here sometimes, giving your emotions even a few minutes of attention before sleep softens the dreams that follow. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to feel safe enough to feel. That's when dreams begin to shift from distress to medicine, from chaos to choreography. And if no dream comes, that's okay. 2. Sometimes healing is quiet, invisible, deep inside the folds of your sleeping brain, where language ends and emotion begins. You don't have to remember the dream for it to have done its work. The therapy happened anyway. So now, as the night stretches on, as your breathing slows, remember, your dreams are not nonsense. They are care. They are correction. They are continuation. You dream what you do, because your mind is trying to help you feel what you couldn't. And that is nothing short of sacred. In the next chapter, we'll look backward. We'll explore how your dreams edit the past, not as memory, but as meaning. We'll uncover the science of dream-based memory reconsolidation, and how the sleeping brain doesn't just replay life, it rewrites it, because sometimes the past doesn't change, but your relationship to it can, and dreams are how that change begins. Chapter 4. The Memory Archive, How Dreams Rewrite Your Past. The night doesn't only take you forward. Sometimes it takes you back, not with regret, not with punishment, but with a kind of quiet revision, a soft editing of emotional history, done not in the cold light of day, but in the shadows of the dreaming mind. This is what dreams do. They hold the power not only to process the present, but to reweave the past. Memory isn't a file, it's a fire. We often think of memory as a fixed archive, a dusty old cabinet where facts and experiences are locked away. But neuroscience tells us something different. Memory is not a file. It's a flame. Every time you recall something, you don't just retrieve it, you recreate it, like lighting a match to a wick. The memory flickers into your awareness, malleable and alive, and then, once you put it out, once the thought fades, it changes. It updates itself based on the emotional climate you're in now. Imagine what happens when the conscious mind is asleep and the emotional brain is fully awake. Dreams become the editors of your personal story, the way a novelist rewrites a scene to soften the pain, to make sense of chaos, to give you a version of life that your heart can live with. This is why some dreams feel nostalgic, or why you revisit a childhood bedroom, a high school hallway, or a moment that you never got to finish. Your brain isn't just remembering, it's remembering, rebuilding, restitching the emotional seams of your life in a way that makes your story more livable when the past won't stay quiet. Have you ever had a dream that felt too familiar? Not because you've had it before, but because it seemed to echo something real. A long-forgotten moment, a voice you haven't heard in years, a house that hasn't existed for decades. That's no accident. During sleep, especially REM sleep, the brain's memory centers light up, particularly the hippocampus and the amygdala, regions responsible for storing memory and assigning emotional weight to them. But here's the twist. These regions don't activate like a camera replaying footage. They activate like an artist revisiting an old painting, changing the colors, blending the brush strokes, removing details too painful to hold on to. This is emotional alchemy. Your dream is not simply reliving your past. It's reframing it, digesting it, making it safe enough to carry. In dreams, your mind can take a trauma and soften its edges, or it can turn a joyful memory into a guiding light. When the waking world feels too dim, dreams are therapy. Without the talking, there's a reason therapists ask you to talk about your past. Not to get stuck there, but to reprocess it with a safer, wiser perspective. Dreams do this automatically. When you sleep, your brain reviews emotional material from your past and plays it out again, often in metaphor, often in surreal form, as a way of metabolizing it. It's like having a therapy session with yourself, except you don't need to speak a word. You just need to sleep. That breakup that left you numb. Your dreams might stage it again, but this time, you're more distant, more aware, more ready to let go. That moment when you felt humiliated as a child. Your dream might retell it, but from a strange new angle, where you finally say what you couldn't say then. Or you watch the scene unfold from above, a sign that you're healing, not haunting. This is not just memory. This is resolution. Night is the soft rewriter of the soul. Some say time heals all wounds. But time alone isn't enough. You need emotional digestion. You need inner revision, and often that happens at night. Your dreams are your psyche's editing room, the place where the hardest moments are softened, where the unfinished chapters are rewritten with compassion, and where even the ghosts of memory can finally find rest. You may wake up and not remember the dream, but the healing still happened, because the body remembers, and the heart, once soothed, stops repeating the ache. This is the sacred work of sleep, to not only protect your mind, but to repair your story. You don't just sleep to rest. You sleep to rewrite, to gently reshape who you are by restoring what you once endured. And so the night becomes a temple, a quiet archive of healing, where dreams, like invisible librarians, whisper softly to your wounds, "It's okay." We'll tell this part differently now. Chapter 5. Becoming the Dreamer. How to listen, interpret, and heal. The lights are dim now. Not the ones above your bed, but the ones inside. The hallway of your mind is quieter than before. The noise of the day is retreating, and what remains is the soft static of something deeper. Trying to speak, it's time to become the dreamer. Not just the one who dreams at night, but the one who learns to listen. Because dreams are not nonsense. They are not broken films or random firings. They are not accidents. They are encoded messages from the body-mind, a quiet internal world, trying to hold a dialogue with the version of you that is finally still enough to hear it. And tonight, we explore how don't want, the language you forgot you knew. Dreams speak in metaphors, not facts, not logic, Not direct lines, but curves. They don't tell you what's happening. They show you how it feels. You dream of drowning not because you're near water, but because some part of you feels submerged in emotion. You dream of teeth falling out not because you need a dentist, but because something in your life feels powerless or out of control. You dream of old places not because you miss them, but because your brain is trying to file something unfinished away. This language, this symbolic whispering, it's the first language you ever spoke, before you had words, before you could name your pain. Your body told stories through sensation, image, and impulse. Dreams are that language returning. And when you listen without trying to translate too quickly, they begin to make sense. Too. Listening without grabbing. Most people interpret dreams the wrong way, like hunting butterflies with a net. Too fast, too literal, too focused on pinning down meaning. But dreams are fragile. They are emotional weather, not textbook paragraphs. The key is to approach them with softness, not asking, "What does this mean?" but asking, "What does this feel like?" Because often, the real medicine of the dream isn't in decoding the exact answer. It's in witnessing what your inner world is trying to process. That childhood friend you haven't seen in years. The strange door you never open. The baby you're trying to protect. They're not random, they are emotional placeholders. Inner actors. Carriers of buried memory, present emotion, or future longing. Listen slowly. Journal gently. Feel first. Interpret later. 3. The practice of dream healing. Healing through dreams isn't just about having them. It's about meeting them on purpose. You become the dreamer not when you sleep, but when you wake and remember. When you honor what came. When you sit with what surfaced. Here's how to begin. 1. Keep a soft dream journal. Place it near your bed. Write immediately when you wake. No judgment. No structure. Just allow the fragments. 2. Ask your body a question before sleep. Something open, like, what do I need to see? What am I ready to feel? You may not get a clear answer, but your dreaming self hears you. 3. Revisit your dreams like a poem. Don't look for logic. Look for tone, emotion, symbolic weight. 4. Speak kindly to your subconscious. The more you trust it, the more it trusts you back. 4. The dreamer and the wound. Here's a truth that may feel tender. Many of your dreams are still speaking from an old wound. The dreams you don't want. The recurring ones. The confusing ones. They are not punishments. They are emotional echoes still searching for integration. You don't have to force them away. You don't need to fix them. You just need to hold them in a safe space of awareness. To say, yes, I see you now. Yes, that was real. Yes, I'm listening. And when you do, when you give a dream the respect of a witness, something begins to shift. The wound gets seen. The pattern begins to soften, and you return to your body, a little lighter than before. 5. Becoming the dreamer. To become the dreamer is to live with an open ear inward. To let sleep be a conversation, not just a collapse. It is to trust that your mind and body know things you haven't yet named, and that every night they try again to help you heal. You may never remember every dream. You don't need to. You only need to remember that you are more than your waking thoughts, that deep within you there is an intelligent night self who gathers what is lost, stitches what is frayed, and speaks in symbols that feel like mist and moonlight. Let that version of you have a place in your life. Invite them. Honor them, and slowly you will find that your healing is already happening in the hours no one sees, in the stories only you will ever dream. So now, close your eyes gently, breathe out the last thread of the day, and invite the dream. Let it arrive as it always has, not to confuse you, but to carry you home. Let us know in the comments, what kind of dreams do you often remember? Do they make more sense to you now? We'd love to hear your stories and symbols. And as always, good night, dreamer.